What's going on, everyone? Out in Germany for the Dolphins Chiefs game Sunday morning. We just sat down with Mike McDaniel. Unbelievable. Dolphins, your head coach is an absolute stud. Saw the Dolphins practice yesterday as advertised. Going to see the Chiefs today. Cannot wait. Got to spend some time with them last night as well. And will this afternoon. I wanted to share something because we just left being with Mike for about an hour. And X's and O's wise and football scheme and his stuff with Tua and Tyreek, like we'll save, certainly I will, a lot of that for the broadcast. But going into that, I'd never spent time with him. Going into it, I knew he was really smart. I knew he was really good X's and O's and football wise and scheme wise. But walking out of it, more impressed, or as impressive as he is with that stuff, more impressed with him when his understanding of coach.
Dan Orlovsky is a 12-year NFL veteran who was selected in the 5th round of the 2005 NFL Draft. He played for the Lions, the Texans, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so he's been around the league enough to recognize good coaches. But he can also recognize good men when he meets them as well. In this video he posted, he got the chance to talk about meeting Mike McDaniel. Listen closely to what he says right here, and when you do so, ponder for a moment what he's actually saying. And when you take that moment to ponder, also consider what kind of guy Dan Orlovsky is.
What's going on, everyone? Out in Germany for the Dolphins Chiefs game Sunday morning. We just sat down with Mike McDaniel. Unbelievable. Dolphins, your head coach is an absolute stud. Saw the Dolphins practice yesterday as advertised. Going to see the Chiefs today. Cannot wait. Got to spend some time with them last night as well. And will this afternoon. I wanted to share something because we just left being with Mike for about an hour, and X's and O's wise and football scheme and his stuff with Tua and Tyreek, like we'll save, certainly I will, a lot of that for the broadcast. But going into that, I'd never spent time with him. Going into it, I knew he was really smart. I knew he was really good X's and O's and football wise and scheme wise. But walking out of it, more impressed, or as impressive as he is with that stuff, more impressed with him when his understanding of coach.
Those of you who have never played the game of football might not understand what he meant there. He said, sure, he's got a great mind in regards to his offensive schemes and his ideology about running this football team. But what Dan said was, Mike McDaniel has a strong grasp, something he's never seen in regards to his role as a coach.
In his role and the responsibility. I think like that was what the big takeaway is. I don't know if I've ever heard a coach talk the way he talks and talked about his role as head coach of this team. And to hear him talk about the responsibility that he feels, embraces about coaching and the obsession about it and the appreciation for it and how he understands how much his role is connected to everybody that he comes across within their organization. I don't know if I've ever heard a coach talk that way.
Remember, Dan Orlovsky played in the NFL for 12 years. As I mentioned earlier, he played for the Lions, the Texans, the Colts, the Buccaneers. So he's been around the league. Surely, in that 12-year span, he's met and played with some of the best coaches in the NFL. And of course, they were all competent. They all know X's and O's. After all, football isn't that complicated of a game. But on the other hand, life is indeed complicated. Life is so complicated that many coaches don't know how to relate to today's players and what they're going through on the field and off the field. Many coaches don't seem to have the ability to connect on a deeper level. Listen to how Dan describes it.
Or felt it when he talked about it. And it was so impressive. As impressive it is to watch their tape and see the schemes, it was even more impressive to hear him talk about Tua and Tyreek and the people on their team and how important his role is and the way he sees it. And it's rare in the NFL to hear a coach talk like this. And it should be celebrated. Unfortunately, it's rare.
Mike McDaniel is indeed rare. A rare coach, a rare mentor, and a rare leader. This guy understands what makes men tick. It's hard to believe that it's only his 2nd year as head coach of the Miami Dolphins. He hasn't won anything yet, but the guys believe. One of the reasons that they believe in him isn't because of wins and losses. They believe in him because they know he believes in them. It's obvious that he has their best interest at heart. He knows that life is fleeting and that they will remember this time in their life forever. He's doing much more than coaching a football team. He's coaching men. He understands this goes way beyond the game of football.
But it should be celebrated, because out of all the coaches that certainly I've come across, played for a bunch, whatnot, I don't know if I've ever heard a guy talk about the role of coaching in the NFL the way that Mike McDaniel did. It was unbelievable, and one of the cooler experiences that I've had when it comes to like around the game of football. Dolphins, you have a stud as a head coach.
His perspective makes him a great coach and a great leader of men. Listen to what he says right here.
As far as NFL parity, you know, that's one of the things, you're hitting on one of the things that is at the crux of every team's battle during the course of the season. So unique to football, you have a limited schedule. You have now 17, what was once 16 games, with a lot of buildup. You have a whole off season of buildup, and there's a week between each game. So there are a bunch of narratives that occur, whether you win or you lose. I'll tell you what's going to happen with the Miami Dolphins. They lose. We can't beat good teams. We win. We're going to win the Super Bowl. None of it matters. You have to be your best when your best is required, and that's when there's elimination games.
You know what he just described right there? He described focus. He has told his team, win or lose, it doesn't matter. All that matters is you do your absolute best. I'm going to train you. I'm going to coach you into doing your own best. You just have to execute and perform. You can't control the media. You can't control any narrative out there. All you can control as a player is your performance. And even then, it doesn't matter. You know why? Because Monday's coming soon.
So you're trying to build towards that and take advantage of every opportunity to best service yourself for the situation at the end of the season. So, there's a lot made up of each and every game. Quite literally, this is 1/17.
I remember when I was powerlifting and I was desperately trying to get to be able to bench 500 pounds. And my coach used to tell me, today might not be the day. You may not feel right. You may not have had the right food to eat. You may not have slept right. So don't worry. Just concentrate on doing the best you can do in today's workout. If it happens, it happens. And just keep trying to get better every single day. And then, of course, it happened.
At the same time, let's say, for instance, we were able to beat the Chiefs and had the best game of our year this week. What does that mean? It means we're 7-2. That's all. Does 7 wins get you into the playoffs? Probably not. Does it matter if you climax right now and go, cool regular season win? So it's very important, but at the same time, the biggest thing is you're progressing during the season. So when push comes to shove and it's win or go home, which inevitably you're either trying to make the playoffs. At some point, it's an elimination game, or you're in the playoffs and it's an elimination game. You better be your best then.
I see people on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, shit posting and jousting with other fan bases all the time. I see them calling people like me, who are unemotional about a win or a loss, a casual. I avoid them like the plague. Click, block, delete. Don't want to hear from you. I don't want to engage with people who don't understand focus. Let me prove it to you. This is really simple. We all know that the Miami Dolphins gobsmacked the Denver Broncos and hung 70 points on them. Do you think the Denver Broncos as a team are worried about the 70 points that they gave up against the Miami Dolphins, or are they more concerned with making the playoffs? Because right now they sit at 3-5 and they're not too far out of the hunt in the playoff scenario. So what do you think they are focused on most? What are they concentrated on right now? The 70 point that they gave up against the Miami Dolphins, or trying to get into the playoffs? The answer, if you're honest, is obvious. Mike McDaniel understands that. The media, guys like me, we're all going to say what we want to say. We're all going to do what we want to do in regards to our opinion of the team. But he, as the coach, has to let these guys know, win or lose, there's always Monday. And that means you're on to the next game and the next week, and you can't focus on what happened behind you. That's what he just told this team. Win or lose, I'm still with you guys. We're still fighting. It's one game out of 17. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, and it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of life. Enjoy Germany while you're out here. Kick some ass on Sunday and see what happens and live with whatever that result may be. Let me know what you guys think. Talk to you Sunday. Don't forget to click here and sign up or get notified as soon as I go live. Fins up.
Is anybody catching on to this Barry guy?